Good morning, everyone. New York trading session. Um, Trading session in about an hour, and we're just gonna go over the market, what's been happening, and so on. Okay. So here we have to start by looking at what the news are gonna be this week, especially today. Today's not gonna be that important as Friday, but it will indeed move the markets, specifically at 8:15. Okay. And let's see what's been happening. I I had this mapped out since last night during Asia session. As you see, I anticipated London's retest here to the downside. I mapped this out when I was maybe watching Asia right around here. I was looking at it, I was watching it come down. So I knew that it was gonna make a low and then push back and close around this middle area of this range. And then London did a bit more than I was expecting it to do. I thought it wasn't going to push too low, but it did. London's retest of Tokyo's low. Tokyo's low would be here. This, as you can see, our the trading session map. So this is Tokyo's low. London goes and retests it and breaks it, makes an even lower low, but then pushes back up because it wants to grab liquidity. We had this as London liquidity grab, and it did so just a bit more than the 1826. It went right to 1827.2, and it's there. It's making a retracement back down, and depending on where London closes, depending on where New York opens, because London is going to close later on, but depending on where the chart is at during New York open, then we could see New York push down to retest London's low and then back up, or we could see it push up for the high first, then down to the low, and then back up to the high, which is how they did over here yesterday. If you were watching gold yesterday, that was an interesting and that was a crazy up and down. It's been a long time since I hadn't seen this type of behavior in gold, so it's possible. It's possible, and it's what I think might happen today, because the market is still in this very tight range between 130 1830 and 1820, 1815. Of course, it's the lowest low, but notice how the market doesn't close below 1820, 1819. Okay, so I do have this bullish possible outcome because we have news coming up. Okay, I'm seeing the Forex side of Forex Factory calendar, but I also use the metals. I use mostly this one because it specifically tells me the news that are gonna affect gold and metals, and I see it with the opposite color that comes up in the Forex calendar. Does it matter the fact I see this differently? I mean, not really. I just have a summary of the news and the events that affect more of metals rather than just a long list of things in CHF, New Zealand dollar. I mean, I don't really care much about any of this. Okay, so we have 20 minutes to discuss a bit of what has been happening, and I'll do that on another cleaner chart. Okay, so over here I have mapped out that range I told you about, and I have this psychological middle price of 1825, and notice how it's about to close right on that price range. But that is because the market, every time it's around this 1825 range, it just comes back down, you know. So it's an interesting area because if the market closes above 1825, then it'll likely retest even higher to 1830. I do have the support. Obviously here it's important to have this on the radar, because if the market wants to break down, we have to see it close below the wicks. Okay, and depending on after the closing of whatever candle does end up closing here, depending on how the next one behaves to the upside and so on, that could be either an order block in and out, or a potential breakout to the downside. So let's see. There's a lot of people expecting gold to come up a lot. They're saying this is a double bottom. We're gonna see it come up here. I don't know. Let's wait. Because remember, gold has been coming down very strong. The dollar also has been coming up very strong. So yeah, I mean, when you have momentum in the markets, it's hard to have an immediate recovery that quickly and that strong. So what I'm trying to say is that if indeed gold wants to come super higher, you know, like maybe back toward 1850s, right? I don't think it's gonna do it in a day. I think what it would do is just a huge push up and then come all the way back down to here and kind of range again, come down, you know. So it'll take quite a lot for it to do that. Now remember, there are news this week, and pretty much one of the most important news that you will ever find for trading, which is NFP and and all the employment rate, right? So this week, either gold could make that long recovery, bullish recovery, or it could keep falling. And I'm bearish on gold, to be honest with you right now. I mean, generally speaking, because the US has been getting very positive news, so you just have to go with that. The trend is your friend, and there's nothing you can do about that. And if we go to the weekly chart, I'll show you where I would expect for it to drop. And I mean, it's not that much either, though. It's over here to the 1805 range, possibly 1791, 1792. Historically, that's been a very strong pivot point. The 1792 to 1790 range. I'm gonna 1790. Okay, and then 1792. I like that range a lot for buys. Where's 1892? I'm gonna put 1890 right there. 1798. Okay, so yeah. Of course, this is the lowest point, and we cannot ignore that, which is right there. 1825. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens here, and then that's when I would expect a very nice push to the upside, right, toward over here. So as the market starts to open, as the market starts to open, well, look at that right there. I had that bounce up over here. Let's see what happens. Let's go back to our 15-minute 15-minute chart. Okay, there you go. So it closed. New York, London. I mean, London makes that close here, and it's making its way back to retest its high. 15 minutes. So this is the last candle. This candle could close down over here. I'd like to see it close down over here, so that New York continues that push, makes a fake out, probable fake out, and then a turnaround, right? If it closes over here, then New York might just go one push up, push down, and then back up. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens on Bloomberg. It's live. Yeah, so they're talking about the yields, and there has been a very I mean uncontrollable debt situation in the US. People are crazy, man. Excuse me. Hmm. Well, let's go back. Let's go back into our charts. Market's about to open now for New York. So London decides to close before New York open pretty much at this level. So we might be seeing New York maybe want to break its highest, it's yesterday's high, and come back down a little toward the middle 1825 range and maybe bounce back up. Let's see. Okay, there you go. London beginning to bounce off of their high, and I like that. I would like a stronger push maybe over here. Maybe over here. Notice how I went back to 1825. You see how it's going back into 1825 range? And we had that in the 15-minute. We had that on the other chart, I believe it was. Was it here? Yeah. See the 1825 range? So in about 4 minutes, 3 minutes 30, if this candle closes below 1825 and under these wicks, like over here, anywhere where it is right now, a bit lower I would say, then New York would want to probably look back into that support area, and then go for the highs, right? Because for it to go higher, it would want to grab some liquidity down over here. And so let's see. 2 minutes 30. What's up, Vaish? This was an interesting push here in New York, London, and I want to see these. I want to see these ranges meet and touch during New York. Okay, folks. Disclaimer: as usual, I'm not a financial advisor. Always make sure you know that. I only use these videos for my personal use and educational purposes only. Okay, don't act directly based on what you see me say and do, because I'm never intending to tell you what to do. I'm only talking with you of how I interpret the markets. All right. Let's map out an outcome, a possible outcome right now. A minute before. Yeah, I do want to see New York push a little bit down, at least over here. And then come back up here. If not, if you see it come up, then it would just do this. And then kind of retrace back into the range. So I'm going to leave that just dotted just in case. And New York is active here on our map. This is the daily range, and let's see what happens. I like how it's starting to want to fetch lower areas. We have, let's go back to our original. And this is our original idea, where London liquidity successfully stops right there where I had it illustrated from last night, and that's where I was expecting, and I would like to see price now retest its low. So New York might want to retest London's low. If not, it would want to go back up towards yesterday's highs and then come back down. In 15 minutes, remember we have the news coming up. Of the non-farm employment change, the automatic data processing. Let's check that out for a second, because it's always good to investigate further into, right? So this is data that's coming from an automatic source of where people just upload data. As you can see, the employment rate has been going higher, and so the unemployment rate, it's coming down. Okay, this is all important data, people. That is very nice for you to start implementing into your general sentiment of things as a whole. Right, so as you see, everything is positive. So, and I just I look back into the 2008 market crash and how everything was so perfect, right? And it's just repeating itself to a degree. Um, employment change went down last month. So yeah, that's interesting, right? Let's see what happens. All good, Faryesh. How are you? How's your trading? Where are you from? Where are you located, my friend? All right, there we go. Come on. Yeah, it's been a little bit slow. Remember, things don't happen immediately, right? So, um, I recommend you guys use this indicator. Just search MKT sessions, and you can edit the colors and all it and everything. But this is a nice. It's a nice. It maps out obviously the sessions high and low, but also its opening and where it stops, where it closes. So remember, each session tends to retest previous sessions range. Pakistan, nice. Okay, so I'm gonna do live analysis on as the market is making certain footprints. The footprints that I have talked about in my previous videos. Right now, you can see A shapes. A shapes meaning a very a spike up and a spike down immediately. This again, spike up, spike down. So this is showing me rejection on this price range and this resistance, and that's why we're seeing the market wanting to come back down toward this median range, right? So New York, there's New York. New York opened here. It just made this little push up. It's coming back down. So it's, you know, it's catching strength. I like I said, I wanted to come further into the support and then bounce up. And so let's try and see in 1 minute if there's any clues in regards to that. And as I can observe, I do see clues that it wants to break down. So the A shape, and then this wick up, and obviously this candle that just traded into that below these wicks and closing there. I do expect now price to come down. Okay, I'm going to just leave a small short term kind of scalping short right there. I want this to come down at least to here, and that's what New York wants to be doing, which is retest London's low. Okay, any minute now it'll make that. That's what we want, right? That's our intentions. So let's see what happens. I'm gonna put it here the my initial take profit because I'm not sure and nothing is going to assure me that it will want to come back down. I could trail it. London's low is beneath this support area. and I do expect it to come down there, so let's see what happens. This is a 5-minute time frame I'm looking at. um, Going back to the 5-minute. I meant 1 minute. This is a 5-minute. Let's see what happens now. With price could be um, showing rejection on that 1823 to retest its own high, but let's see. We're using a very tight stop loss there because of that, and again, we're challenging the market right now. So one thing is to challenge the market, another thing is to go with the market. And I don't usually like to trade in the moment, but this is all practice and for you to also see market behavior based on certain things that it's wanting to do. Now, it's respecting this support, and if that candle closes just above that price range, then it could come back up. If it closes below, then it'll probably want to come back down. In 30 seconds, we'll see what happens for the next 15 minutes. So again, I want to see it close under and maybe come back to its lowest low. News getting near as well. Remember that in 10 minutes we will see that. And if we follow the how do I say this, history, or I guess what has been usually coming out is negative for gold. Remember, this is the metals site of the Forex Factory calendar. So whatever color you see here, that's how it's going to affect metals. And it had been coming out bad up until August 30th. I don't know why September doesn't come out there, but we could back to it. We could go back to it later on. But yeah, as you know, the US economy has been getting stronger, blah blah blah, go back and look into that, because it's also very nice to understand news and how it kind of affects the markets, obviously, right? At the end of the day, I am a chart an analyst more than news and technicals. So I don't really care too much of what's happening, but obviously it matters. It matters because it does pave a path toward a general bias. And actually, that big push to the downside for gold recently, it's actually because of a news and because of the economic situation. So alright, I'm gonna just leave this to the side for a little bit. Let's see what happens now in 3 minutes with the news. Now also, you trying to understand, okay, what's the market trying to do? Because that could also anticipate the news, right? So realize something, that banks and a lot of institutions, they kind of have more data than we do, immediate data, right? So they kind of, most likely know beforehand what the news might be. So the market, the charts, they can show you, they can anticipate these outcomes. So what I'm seeing is, if New York hasn't tried to break low, that means they're trying to go high for liquidity to then come back down. that might mean that the news will come out negative for metals once again. And so what New York is trying to do immediately is anticipate that to go up and grab liquidity, as we have expectations of it here. Here we said New York sell side liquidity and order blocks, an order block over here, right? And therefore retesting London's high, the news would come up negative. I'm thinking out loud here, okay? Remember that. And the news would come out negative, so then a push to the downside would be expected, right? Or as the news come out in a minute and come out negative, then the price goes up, grabs liquidity, and then come down. Now let's study the other side. If it comes out positive, it'll break these resistance, make an intent to the down again, grab stop losses and more liquidity, and then drive price back up. And we have that option anticipated as well right over here. So market would break up, try to come back down, and then further up. We have this in 18 seconds. Let's see what happens. And you can also see the market like anticipate this as it happens. All right, and let's refresh that real quick. All right, there you go. You see that? You see the news didn't even come out here yet, and they're acting already like. So that just to me shows probably. All right, let's see. Come on, refresh, my friend. These guys don't even up. All right, there you go. So. All right, it came out negative. Wow, that's a big. That's a big change. They're expecting 154. It was 89. This has a negative news for US. Very positive news for gold. So there could be a bullish intent now. Okay, so expect the market to come into this and probably coming back down, but not too much, to grab some liquidity, and then grab finally break this 1830s range. And if we come out to the hour, I'm gonna get these guys out of the way. So right about here, it's an initial target, but then all this is just a space for it to really pop up. Let's watch this on this chart a little bit cleaner. So we have to wait to see how it behaves on this 1833. So we had this idea aside. This is what's happening now. Making this rejection on that resistance. Might break it because it's coming out with strength. So I'm just gonna see how it behaves there first. before we actually anticipate a push to the downside, because the fact that that news came out. Now remember, this is the automatic data processing, right? So this is just, I mean, this could be very manipulated, and I mean, it usually is. I think, let's not get into the fact I think the world is fake, but we still have tomorrow to go, because then this is a revised, it's the Department of Labor revised information of this, right? So this could be positive, then tomorrow could be negative, because this, remember, they're gonna say, oh no, it's too low, what the hell is this? They revise it and be like 120, and so that would be a good news again for US. So the gold comes back down. You know, this is all fake, people. This is just a bunch of people trying to get you to think that reality is going to do something, and it doesn't. That's why I just love price action. But yeah, we're seeing rejection up here, and let's see if it wants to retest now its low, because it did that yesterday. Yesterday was just like, up, I'm gonna break up, I'm gonna break out, and then collapsed. Right, that's what happened yesterday. I'll go back to 15 minutes. So New York liquidity grab, we had that as well. We just had it. We had it. I thought it would happen later. I thought it would be first a London's low liquidity grab. Liquidity grab. Boom. Now, does it make sense what's happening? That's also the question you gotta ask yourselves. Does it make sense based on the news? And to me, this would only make sense if the price would now come down a little bit into the range here and then break it, right? So it says, okay, it's positive, right? So this is the intention of the market to go up. Now we need liquidity to do so. Therefore, we're going to come back down a little bit lower, but let's see. I mean, that could be the retest right there. Let's watch in a minute. There's that A shape. This could have a second attempt and then come back down. To here. If the second attempt breaks it, then it would be here, something like this. Would it fail to make a second attempt? It's just gonna go back down. What I'm liking to see, I'm liking for this to come back into this range. Yeah, that's the high. Okay, let's get that out of the way and see 5 minutes. I want to see test this as well if it's gonna go higher. So that's a footprint right there on the 5 minute. That's that big wick. That this candle right now is failing to close back down over here. That's an interesting footprint. So we could expect price to at least retest this wick. If this candle does not close above the 50% retracement of this wick, it might stay down. At least it should at least close above the 50%, right? If it had more strength. And if it fails to do that and closes below this price down over here, for example, then it might just want to come down a little bit more. Right now it's just like stuck there in the middle to see what's gonna happen. However, we could expect it to break, to retest this area. Let's put a line right there. Right? That's your 1830s range. Again, 1830 is a big psychological price resistance level, so that's why it's rejected. It traded into it and it's coming down, you see? So let's see what happens now. Into this range. It traded into that range, so yeah. Liquidity. So it's inducing people to buy. Ooh, that's a tricky close, but I would say it's gonna come back down. 30-minute candle coming up next in 5 minutes. And that next 30-minute candle could be a liquidity grab to the downside, or the final breakout of the 1830s, depending on how this one closes. I want to point something out, that whenever the market is consolidated like this and moving horizontally within a range, whatever strategy you have, don't apply it, because logically and, well, more effectively, any trading strategy must be developed for appropriate trading conditions, and that means either an uptrend or a downtrend. I wouldn't try to develop a trading strategy for markets that are ranging, because ranging markets like this, it's very uncertain what it's going to do. So there's not many accurate trading strategies with low risk and higher probabilities of success, at least that I know of, that work during these sort of conditions. Okay, so I'm going to explain myself. To me, this A shape, when I say A shape, I must point it out in lower time frames. You see that spike up and spike down? That to me is rejection to the upside. And so to me, price has to come back down now. However, it doesn't always work in in ranges like this, because it could just be, you know, retests and up and down and up and down. I mean, right? For example, look at this big V shape that, according to my strategy, would mean buys. So that meant that market went down and it rejected back up. So that would mean rejection to the downside. So whenever the market comes back down, buy again. But it failed to do so, and it came all the way down here, right? So whatever trading you guys do usually when you are at a comfortable uptrend or downtrend, don't try to do it now, because we're not yet back into a trend. The trend has been down, bearish, but notice that the market already reached a very strong support area. Generally speaking, this is the weekly time frame. So you see the price got near this support area. And as you can see, I have this line here. I drew this a long time ago. I drew this maybe, I think it was here, the market, when I drew this. I had it all the way down over here, but anyway, what I'm trying to say is, notice where price has started to like bounce and showing uncertainty. That's at 1815 price. We still have this low at 1805, and I like that. I would want it to come down here, because it would make more sense for it to be bouncing off that even lower low back up. But until the market doesn't break out of that range it's in, then I shouldn't place any more trades, right? That's what you try to tell yourself. Okay, so let's try to illustrate also what's been happening here. There's a sort of double bottom, yes, I know. I'm gonna grab that. Right. A, B, C, D, A, B, C, D, E. Oh, I mean, guys, I would love price to come down here, right? I would love that. I would love that. But let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. We're gonna end this in 30 minutes, by the way. Okay. Okay, calm down. Okay, 30-minute. We forgot to see the 30-minute time. Let's see, 15. Okay, look at this 15-minute candle. Failed to close above that resistance. And that translates to this 30-minute. Failing to close above this. So, I repeat, to me, that is rejection around this area. an intention of the market to maybe come down a little bit more before deciding to break up, right? So yeah, I would want I would want the next hour and a half to close somewhere around here. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, probably. If the price respects this line, I want to see what happens here. I really do want to see something like this. Trying to trying to draw that out. There you go. In the next few hours, so if the market decides to go up because the news came out positive for metals, it would want to come down a little bit, grab liquidity, and then break up. Right? It showed us that it's it should come up, right? The news came out positive, boop 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 boop. Now it's coming back down, recovering, getting more liquidity, picking up strength, and then it would probably break that up, right? I personally would want it to come even lower. I'm not saying it should. Right? And the reason why I would want it to come lower is because I've been following these people. I'm not to say, anything else, but just how the trading comes about with just faking out people and coming down and back up and breaking support areas when the news come, and resistance areas. Like, this was savage, man. Poof, so many people lost everything. And so yeah. 30-minute candle making that rejection. Okay. this is also very important news that's going to come out, and that's why I'm leaving it right there so you can read it and study it. The supply management.